Krishna, to pleasing to Guru Dev, pleasing to you. So I'll begin with one of my grandfather's favorite hits. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabi Hari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabi Hari Gopi Janavanava Girivara Dari Gopi Janavanava Girivara Dari Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Nandana Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Nandana Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Nandana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam. I'll share my screen. Thank you for giving me the ability to do so. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, 11th canto, chapter 6, verses 34 and 35. So there are two verses. The first one doesn't have any, is very short and doesn't have any purport. The second one is short, but has a very long purport. And I want to read all of the long purport because, I mean, frankly, to hear, it is better to hear from the exalted disciples of Srila Prabhupada who took the time to write these purports than to hear from me. And so what I'll do is I will read the first verse quickly in English, then I'll do the second verse in Sanskrit, and then read the purport. Keep your ears open because there's so much in this purport. It's just so amazing. And then I'll try to share some things. So this is 11.634 in English, and we'll get to the other one. And of course, Krishna is speaking to the Yadavas. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, our dynasty has been cursed by the Brahmanas. Such a curse is impossible to counteract, and thus disturbances are appearing everywhere around us. 11.635. Navastayam ihasmabir Jiji Vishubhyaka Pramahasvam sumatam punyam yasyamo daiva machiram. My dear respected elders, we must not remain any longer in this place if we wish to keep our lives intact. Let us go this very day to the most pious place of Prabhas. We have no time to delay. Again, this translation and the purport is by the wonderful disciples of Srila Prabhupada. And it's amazing. So let's listen to every word. Many demigods coming to earth to assist Lord Krishna in his pastimes took birth within the Yadu dynasty and appeared as Krishna's associates. When the Lord had completed his earthly pastimes, he wanted to send these demigods back to their previous service in universal administration. Each demigod was to return to his respective planet. The transcendental city of Dwarka is so auspicious that whoever dies there immediately goes back home, back to Godhead. But because the demigod members of the Yadu dynasty, in many cases, were not prepared to go back to Godhead, they had to die outside the city of Dwarka. Thus, Lord Krishna, pretending to be an ordinary living being, said, "We are all in danger. Let us all immediately go to Prabhas." In this way, by his yoga maya, Krishna bewildered such demigod members of the Yadu dynasty and led them away to the holy place of Prabhas. Since Dwarka is Parama Mangala, the most auspicious place, not even an imitation of inauspiciousness can take place there. Actually, Lord Krishna's pastime of removing the Yadu dynasty is ultimately auspicious. But since it outwardly appeared inauspicious, it could not take place in Dwarka. Therefore, Lord Krishna led the Yadus away from Dwarka. After having sent the demigods back to their planets, Lord Krishna planned to return to the spiritual world, Vaikuntha, in his original form and remain in the eternal city of Dwarka. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur has made the following important comments on this verse. Prabhas is a famous holy city located near the Viraval Railroad Station within the regions of Jagaratha. In chapter 30 of the 11th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, it is written that after hearing the words of Sri Krishna, the Yadavas went to the mainland from the island city of Dwarka by means of boats and then traveled to Prabhas in chariots. At Prabhas Ketcha, they drank a beverage called Mereya and became engaged in a mutual quarrel. A great battle ensued, and killing each other with hard stalks of cane, the members of the Yadu dynasty acted out the pastime of their own annihilation. Lord Krishna, manifesting his four-armed form, sat down under a pipala tree, placing his left foot, the heel of which was colored red, like the red Kokananda lotus, upon his right thigh. A hunter named Jara, watching from the shore of the ocean of Prabhas, mistook the Lord's red-colored foot to be the face of a deer and shot an arrow at it. At the base of that same Prapala tree, under which Lord Krishna had sat, there is now a temple. 1 mile away from the tree, on the shoreline, is the Vira Prabhanajana Mata, and it is said that from this point, the hunter Jara fired his arrow. In the conclusion to his work, Mahabharat Tatparya Nirnaya, Sri Madhavacharya Pada has written the following purport to Masalya Lila. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, in order to bewilder the demons and ensure that the words of his devotees and of the Brahmanas be maintained, created a body of material energy into which the arrow was shot. But the Lord's actual forearm form was never touched by the arrow of Jara, who is actually the Lord's devotee, Bhrigu Rishi. In a previous age, Bhrigu Muni had placed his foot on the chest of Lord Vishnu. In order to counteract the offense of improperly placing his foot on the Lord's chest, Bhrigu had to take birth as a degraded hunter. But even though a great devotee willingly accepts such a low birth, the personality of Godhead cannot tolerate seeing his devotees in such a fallen condition. Thus, the personality of Godhead arranged that at the end of Dwapara Yuga, when the Lord was winding up his manifest pastimes, his devotee Bhrigu, in the form of the hunter Jara, would cast the arrow into a material body created by the Lord's illusory energy. Thus, the hunter would become remorseful, gain release from his degraded birth, and go back to Vaikuntha Loka. Therefore, to please his devotee Bhrigu and to confuse the demons, the Supreme Lord manifested his Masalya Lila at Prabhas, and it should be understood that it is an illusionary pastime. The personality of Godhead, Lord Krishna, from his very appearance on the earth, did not manifest any of the material qualities of ordinary human beings. The Lord did not appear from the womb of his mother. Rather, by his inconceivable power, he descended into the maternity room. At the time of his giving up this mortal world, he similarly manifested an illusory situation for the sake of bewildering the demons. To bewilder the non-devotees, the Lord created an illusory body out of his material energy while simultaneously remaining personally in his own Satchitananda body. And thus, he manifested the downfall of an illusory material form. This pretense effectively bewilders foolish demons. But Lord Sri Krishna's actual transcendental eternal body of bliss never experienced death. We're almost at the end. Also, at Prabhupada, there is the holy place known as Brigotirtha, which was manifested by Lord Parshuram, the place at which the two rivers, Saraswati and Hiranya, flow together into the ocean is called Brigotirtha. And there, the hunter casts his arrow. There is an elaborate description of Prabhas Tirtha in the Prabhas Kanda of the Skanda Purana. There are also many Falashrutis given within the Mahabharata in connection with Prabhasa Tirtha. Falashrutis are scriptural statements that promise various auspicious results for one who performs a particular pious activity. In the following verses, the Lord himself will explain the particular benefits to be derived from visiting Prabhas Kshetra and performing religious activities there. Wow. Om Gyana Timuranda Chatjanan Janan Shalaka Takshami Tamena Tasme Shri Gurudei Namaha. Vanchakopa Charubacha Kripa Sindhuwe Bacha Petita Nambabne Yo Vaishnavi Dung Namu Namaha. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadada Shri Vasudagora Bhaktivinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Again, thank you all for coming. Please give me your blessings. Please help it be something that will be pleasing to Guru, to Krishna, and to all of you. And let's just give it up for that purport. Wow. I mean, I feel like I could just like let's just replay it and hear it all again, because there's so much there. But when I was sitting down to really think, what can I add? What can I share? It immediately made me think of one of my favorite verses from the Bhagavad Gita, and that is the last verse of the Bhagavad Gita. And I've always loved it for two reasons. I've always loved it that Sanjaya comes in with that answering of the question he was asked 18 chapters ago, and he says, that is my opinion. And he sort of throws down the gauntlet. This is my opinion. This is what I have to say, Blind King. And then I've also loved it, obviously, for the fact that Arjuna is called a very specific name. He's called Danyadara, he who holds the bow, which is, of course, the name of my beloved spiritual master. But in thinking about this verse, I'm loving here that Krishna is called the master of mystics, Yoga Ishvara. And in this purport, do we not see it? How many times, and I really tried to emphasize how many times the word illusory and bewilder come up. This is Krishna after 125 years, roughly, of the greatest magic show of all time. And here he is like a master magician, the master director, writer, star, putting all the things together for the biggest act of all, and it's his exit. And this really shouldn't surprise us, because as is alluded to in the purport, let's go back to the beginning. Let's talk about the illusions. And I worked for a magician, and I work with magicians all the time. And it's called a shell game. It's bait and switch. It's look over here, and this is over here, and this is not actually what's happening. So in the story of Krishna's birth, we all know the story that it looks like a miscarriage in one instance, but is it? No, there's a embryo transplanted. It's not over here, it's over here. And then when Krishna is born, he sets the scene. It's in a prison at night. There's a rainstorm outside. He is born, and like a magician, taking a watch and going, "You are getting sleepy." Everyone falls into a sleep so that Vasudev can make another bait and switch. Krishna's over there. The girl child is in the prison. And so that when Kamsa comes, what? And then, of course, he bewilders with that yoga maya potency that's talked about in the purport. everybody in Vrindavan. Mother Yashoda opens up his mouth. She sees the universe in 1 second, and then nope, nope, nope. I didn't see no universe. That's just my little child, right? Everybody in Vrindavan sees Krishna is holding up that mountain with a pinky, but don't think of him as, oh God, they think of him as their friend, as their child, as their lover. He expands himself to dance with every single gopi, to be with every single wife in Dwarka. In the Mahabharat war, he turns night into day. He is constantly this Yoga Ishwara. And so it makes perfect sense that now at the end, he's going to pull out all the stops with this illusionary, multi-layered, because that's what good magicians do. It's not just, oh, it's out of your ear, it's multi-layered. And so he sets the scene with kind of a joke. And we know this, right? We've been going on through this pastime for about a week or two. Or yeah. And there's the joke is Samba putting that metal rod underneath his belly, walking into those sages in this joking but ultimately disrespectful mood, asking them to tell him what the birth of his child is going to be, and so they curse him that that rod will bring about his death. And it's interesting what they initially try to do. They run to the king to try to outrun this curse. And so from the Bhagavatam, I just want to read, they go to King Ugrasena. And this, what happens here is all part of Krishna's illusion, all part of Krishna showing that he puts something in motion. And when Krishna puts it in motion, it cannot be stopped. It reminds me of the feather, excuse me, in Forrest Gump. People see that movie, the feather like glides and glides and glides. That's what this like stalk of iron reminds me of. So King Ugrasena ordered the cub to be ground to powder and thrown into the ocean. Okay, got rid of it. But no, within the ocean, a fish swallowed the last remaining lump of the iron, and the waves carried all of the bits of the ground powder to the shore, where they were implanted and eventually grew into groves of canes. Fishermen caught the fish. A hunter named Jara used the iron lump found in its belly to fashion an arrow. And although the Super Soul Lord Krishna understood what was happening, he did not do anything to stop it. Krishna put it in motion, and it cannot be stopped. You cannot do an end run. Just ask Hiranyakashipu. And so he sets the scene. He sets the ball going down the hill to this curse that we talk about. And so now he's got to get out of here. But the first thing he does is really interesting. First, he gets rid of, I'll call them the co-stars, the Yadavas, his relatives, right? Who, and Vasudeva in his class, and most of us were in Vasudev's class on Monday, Vasudeva really unpacked that wonderful thing that the Yadavas, he was saying, are both Krishna's eternal associates, but also, he says, the demigods merge into them for this pastime. So Krishna dispenses with them first. And as we've been going through, there's the how, it's the why, and then the how we see a little bit in this verse. The why is, of course, as we've been going through, why does he get rid of the Yadavas? Why don't you go? Why don't leave them? Because he's protecting them. He's protecting them from their pride. It's so easy to get puffed up. And it's so easy to be puffed up when, hey, Krishna is my family, when they're militarily the best they could possibly be, right? They say that the word providence is used a lot. And I looked up the word providence means protection. And so it's Krishna's providence that they don't become so puffed up and grow that ugly, ugly, ugly thing that is called pride. And so he dispenses with them. And then the other thing that, again, a lot of you were on the call on Monday that Vasudev unpacked for us is that it's also that Mother Earth, the other reason he dispenses with them, because the Yadavas love Krishna so much, their sorrow would be a burden on the Mother Earth, on Mother Bhumi. She wouldn't be able to carry it. And let's remember, why did the demigods come? Because originally they came to Krishna and said, we want to help Mother Earth, the Mother Earth, because she had a burden of the demons. So he's alleviating her burden again in this way. So that's the why. And then the how is super interesting. As this purport says, he's got to get them out of Dwarka. He's got them because Dwarka, and if I had more time in this class, I'd read some of the beautiful descriptions of Dwarka, because Dwarka is ultimately auspicious. And even though what we are going to hear about in this battle of them killing each other is not inauspicious, it appears to be. So Krishna's like, I've got to get them out of here. And oh, does it ever get inauspicious? It will be several weeks before we get here. But let's read. I'm going to read just a little bit about this battle. That remember, it only appears inauspicious because it's all Krishna's plan. He set the ball in motion. This is from Bhagavatam 11th Canto, Chapter 30. There, with great devotion, the Yadavas performed the religious ceremonies according to the instructions of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, their personal Lord. So Krishna tells them what to do. They also performed various other auspicious rites. Then, their intelligence covered by providence. This is when I read this, like providence, remember, protection. He's actually protecting them. They liberally indulged in drinking the sweet Maria beverage, which can completely intoxicate the mind. The heroes of the Yada dynasty became intoxicated with their extravagant drinking and began to feel arrogant. When they were thus bewildered by the personal potency of Lord Krishna, a terrible quarrel arose among them. Infuriated, they seized their bows and arrows, swords and balas, clubs, lances, and spears, and attacked one another on the shore of the ocean. Riding on elephants and chariots with flags flying, and also on donkeys, camels, buffaloes, mules, and even human beings. The extremely enraged warriors came together and violently attacked one another with arrows, just as elephants in the forest attack another with tusks. Fast forward, because this is a big, big battle, but just to get to where things really sort of get what would appear to be inauspicious. Thus bewildered, sons fought with fathers, brothers with brothers, nephews with parental and maternal uncles, and grandsons and grandfathers. Friends fought with friends, and well wishers with well wishers. In this way, intimate friends and relatives all killed one another. When all their bows had been broken and their arrows and other missiles spent, they seized the tall stalks of cane with their bare hands. Remember, here's that here's that iron rod. As soon as they took these cane stalks in their fists, the stalks changed into iron rods as hard as thunderbolts. With these weapons, the warriors began attacking one another again and again. And when Lord Krishna tried to stop them, they attacked him as well. And the battle goes on and on and on. And it wraps around back to that joke by Samba with the iron rod. And so let me just get the last line of that. So the violent anger of these warriors who were overcome by the Brahman's curse and bewildered by Lord Krishna's illusory potency now led them to their annihilation, just as a fire that starts in a bamboo grove destroys the entire forest. When all the members of his own dynasty were thus destroyed, Lord Krishna thought to himself that at last the burden of the earth had been removed. And so he came, right? He came. Why? And then in Bhagavad Gita, he tells us, "I come to protect the devotee and kill the miscreants." And let's remember the beginning. Why does Krishna come? They go to him and please, Mother Bhumi says, please remove the burden of the earth. So he's done it with the demons, and now this last thing he's done. And now, and I love that it gets slow this time of the Bhagavatam. Now he's going to leave. And at nighttime, I read Srila Prabhupada's Lilamrita, and I'm at the last book, and I find myself slowing down reading. I was reading like 4 or 5 pages, and now I read like a paragraph because I don't want it to end. I don't want Prabhupada to leave in the book, and I sort of don't want Krishna to leave. But what he does in his leaving is so beautiful. So what he does is, and how many times in the purport does he use the word illusory, bewilder? He takes an illusory form. This is not Krishna that gets killed because Krishna can't be killed. He takes an illusory form and sits underneath that tree. And it's so interesting when you think of all the ways he could have got, taken to ride out into the sunset. It's not like on the battlefield of Kurukshetra with arrows sticking into your back. It's not beheading. He takes this illusory form and sits down underneath the tree, crosses his foot over, and he allows the ball that started rolling down the hill, the last part of the illusion, the magic trick, to come. Because what did we read there? That Jara had found that iron and fashioned into an arrow. And who is Jara? Well, it's interesting because I asked our Satyaraj more about this. I asked if there was a significance to Krishna's foot saying to look like a deer. And he said that as far as he knew, there was not. But where is it? But he did tell me that the word Jara means old age. It also means old age. So the name Jara is this harbinger of death, Satyaraj wrote to me. And of course, we see here that Jara is Bhrigu Muni. So what is Krishna doing? We often say that Krishna is the only one that can actually multitask. He's making his exits. He's lessening the burden on the earth, and he's also saving a devotee, Bhrigu Muni, and we all know the story well. Bhrigu Muni did the service. The service. When the question is asked, who is the greatest? Is it Brahma? Is it Lord Shiva? Is it Lord Vishnu? And how does he test them? He tests them by who can tolerate. And isn't that's the mettle of a person? How do we act in provoking situations? Can we tolerate? And Bhrigu Muni goes to his father, Lord Brahma, and he disrespects him. And Brahma gets angry, but does not act. And then he goes to his brother, Lord Shiva, and he disrespects him with words. And Lord Shiva, Lord Shiva, he's cut off a lot of heads in his time. He got some anger and got some heat in him, but luckily his wife calms him down. And then he goes to Lord Vishnu, who is lying there. And the goddess Lakshmi is massaging those soft lotus feet. And Bhrigu Muni, what does he do? Comes in and kicks him right in the chest. And does Lord Vishnu get angry even for a second? No, he does not. Instead, he's like, oh, Bhrigu, your foot must hurt so much because my chest is so hard. I'm so sorry. But ultimately, because Bhrigu did kick the chest of the Supreme, there has to be a price that is paid. And so he's cursed to take this birth as Jara. But see here what happens. There is a price to pay, but immediately, like the Purport says, he feels remorseful. And with this remorse, he's freed of that offense and can go back home at last. And so in his final grand finale, Yoga Ishwara, what does he do? He makes it about serving his devotees. He makes it an act of love to his devotees, Bhrigu Muni. Also, I want to say that Satyaraj also said that Jara, there are also some other stories about that Jara may also be, I'm going to read directly from what he sent me, that Jara might also be seen as Sugriva from the Ramayana, Vali's brother, who Lord Ram kind of killed in, some would say, a sort of a interesting way. And also Satyaraj in his research said that perhaps also that Jara could also be seen as Vali's son, set out to revenge his father's death. So those are some technical points that Satyaraj helped me unpack. But really what I take away, and I'll open up for corrections and questions and comments in a moment. But what I'm really left with all of this is a couple things. That even though things may look inauspicious in life, who's behind it all? It's Krishna. And he only wants the best for me, for all of us. And when I really look back in my life, I can see that. I can see him moving things around in just the right way to teach me the lessons in just the right way. And it's a wonderful way to, and it's oftentimes we can't see that when it's happening. It's only after the fact that we see the puzzle piece fall into place. We see that Yoga Ishwara has been pulling on the strings, and what looks like one thing is another, and that it gives me great faith. I often say people when people sometimes say, I'm tired of people saying it's God's plan, it's God's plan. What's the plan? What's the plan? And I always say, I'm not God, so I don't know what the plan is, but I do know that there is one. And when we read this wonderful pastime and we read how Krishna is ultimately making these wonderful arrangements, then we can have faith that it is such. Um, and so I invite you all to in your lives, yeah, to look at the things that happen in our lives and to see Krishna's hand and to see Krishna's arrangement. And even when it looks kind of inauspicious, like people beating each other with canes that certainly turn into iron rods, let's remember Yoga Ishwar is behind it, the master of mystics that only wants to love us and will love our love in return. So please forgive me. I'm a fool and a rascal, number one, number 1 through 17. And yeah, I hope that there is something of benefit. Bima, you have your hand up.
I would just like to say, in response to that wonderful pa relating of the pastime, that it was like shooting an arrow that arches and then comes and lands on the bullseye. And that's what it felt like because I followed it all the way through, and then you landed it on how Krishna operates in our life. And actually, when you got done, to be quite honest, I said, "Damn." That so that's the highest praise I can give you, Prabhu Genie. Damn. Good job, Hare Krishna.
You, Bima, I will take it. Nothing like a good 4 letter. Well, I guess it's 4 letter or 3 letter. Thank you. Yeah, Nityananda Chandra.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. So
Krishna.
I think it was Jiva Goswami. They make this Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. He tells a story of a magician who goes to the king and he exhibits the trick of dying. So here I have so
Ah,
in front of the king, the magician approaches a stack of valuable gems, jewels, coins, and so forth, and all placed before the king. Taking a jeweled necklace, the magician says to the king, "Now I'm taking this necklace and you can't have it." And then it makes it disappear. "Now I'm taking this gold coin. You can't have it." And he makes it disappear. And then he said, next, um, he makes 7,000 horses disappear. Then the magician creates an illusion that the king's children, grandchildren, brothers, and all family members have attacked each other and are
oh
nearly
well.
all dead from a violent quarrel.
Well,
The king the king hears the magician speaking at the same time observes these things taking place before him as he sits in the assembly hall. So he makes this whole thing happen. And then the magician says, "I don't want to live anymore. I've studied magic, and by the mercy of my guru, I've learned the mystic of power of yoga." And then he gives up his body. And then so
uh,
he sits in pranayam. Then 3 or 4 days later, the after the magician has returned to his own place, he sends one of his daughters to the king. And then so the daughter comes back and she says, "Look, here's your kids. Here's your grandkids. Here's your
here's the horses.
7,000 horses. Here's the jewels."
Oh well.
Uh, and so they said they use this as an analogy, saying that actually the pastime, the Moshe Lila, a lot of the acharyas say it was an illusion. The whole
Mm.
thing was an illusion. And he says, just like an ordinary magician can do insane things. So what to speak of Krishna?
I love that. When I was reading the part about the illusory body and the arrow going in. So years ago, I worked for what's called a big trick magician. And I always say, when you do that, and you people that know me physically, you understand why I was chosen for certain illusions. We'll say, and I was cut in three pieces. And it would appear the illusion that my head was on one side of the stage and my feet, which were moving, were on another side of the stage. So the I won't give up the secret, but the I think about that. There was definitely one of them was I wasn't cut in half, as we can see, but one of them was an illusion. And so magicians, especially nowadays, can do amazing things. Yes, but look what Krishna can do. You
And
think
You
that's
you
crazy?
just expanded yourself, Jamuna Jaya. That's what you did. You expanded.
My head was there and my feet were over there. It was freaky to watch on video when I saw it.
and it's also said that Krishna, he does this to be kind to the atheists, to
Mm,
give them look, oh, see, give them a way out. There's no, bhakti is not a force thing, you know. If you want a way out, he'll give you a way out. You know, find some
interesting.
excuse. Yeah.
Yeah, interesting. Um, Narottam Nitai,
Yeah, Dandavats,
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. I'm glad you mentioned that. I've also, you know, sometimes, I desire that too. And a lot of times, what we desire is what we get in Krishna consciousness. Actually, I think, once we're practicing devotees, we actually see that our desires start getting manifested a little bit more so regularly than if we were not devotees. And sometimes we got to be careful what to ask for. Like, oh, things are going good at work. Let me, my boss isn't challenging me enough or whatever, and then we get like a big challenge at work. So, a lot of times, as devotees, it's almost like a responsibility to like, um, do things that are in line with Guru Sadhu Shastra. So well, that's what I wanted to mention. And the other thing I wanted to mention is that a lot of times, like, like the pastimes of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, where yeah, Advaitacharya, in a way challenging Chaitanya Mahaprabhu so that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu can declare himself as Krishna. Those are like transcendentally very like sweet, but at the same time, it's like, how can I say? Um, it actually, we can flip that equation to ourselves, and we can kind of, I don't know, learn from it to a certain degree. Um, but I don't know, I don't know exactly what to say, but like the whole point of Trinanta Pishinijana, the being tolerant is so important, and the main thing we can really control is ourselves, in the sense of our attitude and everything. Like, a lot of devotees talk about this concept of like, making sure there's like no Vaishnava aparadh, like the devotees are harmonious, stuff together. And I agree, but at the end of the day, the person we can really control is ourselves. And we can discuss
Mm,
many things. We can try to make many plans. We can hope that, the Sangha moves in a certain direction or a certain way and makes certain advancement. But at the end of the day, the main person we control is ourselves. But yeah, but we know the values of devotees. We love Harinam, we love Kirtan, we love reading, we love Bhagavatam classes, and it's so like, as long as we keep pouring into things that devotees love, I think, the good things will follow, the auspiciousness will follow. Krishna is there whenever there's devotees together and talking about him, and and yeah, and not to get too bogged down, because I know like the people that are outside of Krishna consciousness per se, we talk about all types of mundane subject matters, all like a lot of times, whether it be politics or news or money, finances, and all that. And I'm not saying there's not a time place for that. There is a time place for that, but for the most part, um, like the promise of Krishna consciousness is so great, that eventually we'll go back to home, back to Godhead, and that's at the highest place, Golok Vrindavan. It's like the once
mm,
in a like a such a long time opportunity. Once in a day of Lord Brahma or something like that. So Hare Krishna. So then I just wanted to emphasize the value of it because I needed it for myself. How important devotional life is that I get this one little opportunity in this cycle of the yuga cycles, in this specific Kali Yuga, where Krishna specifically appears. So my Hare Krishna. Madanda, sorry.
Hare Krishna, thank you. Now that's your words of like, um, it's not to be taken cheaply, and we've got to take advantage of it. Like you're right, auspicious things happen when we're with devotees, and that's part of the reason, why if anybody hasn't been to 26 Second Avenue, it's just nice to go over now and you read the things. And this is why Prabhupada started this, so we could associate with each other. And so when we keep in each other's association, you're right. Then auspicious things happen. You're absolutely right. So Nitin and John, you got your hand up again, and Adi can give us darshan. I think he's in the temple.
Right. So Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur also shares that Kali Yuga came to Krishna in Kurukshetra and said, when I'm supposed to, it's about my time. You're supposed to give me some time on earth. And if all of your associates go back to the spiritual world in front of everyone's eyes, just like you did with Ram, then the whole world would become devotees. So it'd be like it would just multiply, 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 and it won't be Kali Yuga; it will be Satya Yuga. And so and so Krishna arranged the illusion of an inauspicious. So it wouldn't have like this powerful preaching effect that everybody's like, look, everybody went and became devotees. So he was allowing the presence of Kali Yuga, which leads into the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya. And so
So
that's
great.
yeah.
That's Oh, thank you, Nitin. Yeah, that's great. That's great. Otherwise, it would turn into like this awakening. Look, everyone's instead of turning into Kali Yuga. And also, I forgot to mention, but we all familiar like with the curse of Gandhari about Krishna's ultimate demise. That curse of and she's a fascinating character. This woman who spent her this great mystic yogi spent her life with her eyes covered, because if my husband's blind, I will be blind. But the hurt of a mother, and she issues this curse, and that Krishna will die. And so Krishna's illusory death is part of that as well. Yeah. Addie, you're in the temple. Any words for me before you show us darshan?
Well, they're not open yet, but it looks like they're getting ready. They're running faster and faster. Thank you for this class. I mean, your spiritual master is empowering you. And I know you'll give him the credit and Krishna the credit, so I don't hesitate to praise you, but I'm embarrassed that I can't praise you sufficiently, because it's just extraordinary class. Thank you so much. Wonderful. Oh, here comes the conch shell.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Hare Krishna.
Purusha Prabhu, for facilitating the darshan. Thank you, Jamuna Jaya, for the wonderful class. Yeah, that was my question. Why can't Krishna be straightforward? Why can't he just come before me saying, listen, Ananda Biharidas, I am Krishna. I am in charge. Look, an apple, all of a sudden. Then I would have no doubts if he did that. But somehow or other he chose to communicate with me through foolish people, through IRS, through Chinmay Radha.
You're not paying attention.
Yeah. Yeah, Bhima Prabhu. One day it will happen. Yes.
What Chinmaya Radha says to you is directly from Krishna. Get that straight.
Yeah. Yeah. That's right.
Happy wife, happy life.
Thank you, Bhima Prabhu.
So one thing I wanted to say, bro, that on Saturday I'm getting a chance to perform kirtan, a 3-hour kirtan event at a devotee's home. So Krishna will always give us opportunities. But yeah, you're right about. Krishna also talks to me through the IRS. Hare Krishna.
But when,
Okay.
Sadhvi Didi, were you going to say something? You turned your camera on. Okay. No, I was just thinking, but it's just for me anyway. I feel like the obstacles, like anything, make me stronger. And when I can look back and see that, it's the river to the sea, the analogy that we always use, and that the boulder only makes it stronger. And sometimes when things come too easily, human beings, our nature is we're lazy. We take things cheaply. And sometimes, that's why Virpalumba makes so much sense. Absence makes the hearts grow fonder. We human beings, if it's too easy, then we forget. And we don't take it with enough gravity. But when we have to work for it, and when we can, and also there's so many lessons in the things, if we're able to look at the lessons that life gives us. Like I always think, like, without some of the things, I mean, I couldn't do it at the time, but without some of the things that have been challenging in my life, I wouldn't be able to know things that I know now without those lessons. So, but it does seem like sometimes it just would be nice just to
Jamuna Jaya, as
yeah.
you related the pastime and and had it land on the point of Krishna operating in our lives, doesn't it, or does it make it easier on us to understand that when we become involved in Krishna, at least heading in the right direction, yearning to head in the right direction, that our lives as well become Leela, and that if we, with Krishna, a series
Mm.
of incidents that help us to learn and grow. And of course, we can't learn and grow unless these incidences um, have the weight and gravity of consequence, um, and also lessons within them. Does it help when faced with such things as letters from the IRS, which is disheartening to anybody, especially that owns a business, et cetera, that we should face these things as Krishna um, presenting us with the warfare that's needed for us to become purified and humbled, and therefore thereby strengthened in Krishna's strength. Um, can we go out of our way to understand that life is indeed such an adventure when Krishna comes into our life?
I totally agree with that. I mean, it's often said in your case, because it's a lot, the remembrance of that thing of like, oh, I think I've seen that life isn't happening to us, it's happening for us. And if we're, because that's, here's what I think, like, material world's going to throw stuff at us. It just is. And if we spend our time shaking our fists at the sky, going, why, instead of like really looking at what could be learned, and well, you're a physical person too, the muscle of tolerance, of humility that can be built if we really go through these experiences, then like, our Jai Jagannath once said, I remember in his way, he said that this is why Kali Yuga is so great, because you're going to get humbled on the regular. He said, and that's really true. And if we look at it like that's the beauty of it. We will be humbled. And in these material bodies, as they age, we will be humbled. This circumstance, and we will be humbled. And so yeah, if we take it as this is the school. This is the school, and this is what we can learn. So absolutely. And I cheers using the word, like, is it part of the play, the Leela? One of my favorite quotes. I have it up in my dressing room at the hospital where I perform. As most of you know, I'm a clown in hospitals for children. There's one of my mottos is play makes risky things safe and simple things exciting. And so when we look at life, it really is true. You make anything a game, it's exciting. And you think of anything that's risky, I'm gonna play with it, we say. It makes it feel a little safer. So Krishna is, he's definitely the play master, as
What if
well as
Krishna
being the
cuts us in half and what if Krishna cuts us in half and puts our head at one side of the stage and our feet wiggling at the other side of the stage? What are we supposed to do then?
we're supposed to, well, we enjoy the fact that I was getting a paycheck from it. And then quite frankly,
Okay,
I
so
was
we do it for the paycheck.
and that's the end of the class. No. But it was really when I was doing, because I was quite young when I did that. Like it's all part of it's the enjoyment of really being all part of the illusion. That it was the when I did look at it on film, it was like, wow, this is, I mean, I knew it wasn't real because here I am, but it is. And that's actually, you're making me think that's actually a good thing. You could look at it. This is an illusion. This is not real. And so we could look at it like that. This illusionary energy that's Maya isn't any more real than me being cut in half. I also levitated and was put in a sword box. For full disclosure, isn't any more real than that was. Although the sword box did hurt, FYI. Naruto die.
Yeah. No, I just wanted to say that, like in terms of like the perfect questions, perfect answers, the book from Srila Prabhupada, we can also use that in our devotional life too. Like, a lot of times devotees say a lot of thoughts and feelings and everything that we're thinking about, we can offer to Krishna while we're chanting and, other services. So, like, but what I wanted to say is also like Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, like our acharyas have done so much heavy lifting for us, because I know like when he was doing that like 9 to 10 years of chanting, like all the many of the residents of Vrindavan like appeared to him, and encouraged him to continue to go on with the mission. Like he I know Goddess Saraswati and like many like other like devotees like appeared to him to support him and encourage him to go on with the mission. So what I just wanted to say was just like like everything we're talking about, like in terms of like being in this world but not of this world, is like it's so true. Like it can really manifest for us. To really give in to the will of Krishna. Like a lot of things will come together. I don't know. I just wanted to mention that. But like
Yeah.
the perfect questions, perfect answers is very true. Like we how we approach Krishna, like it'll really help us. So
Mhm. My Gurudev, I wasn't able to stay for the whole program, but he gave a class on Sunday about he's going to write something about questions, and the first thing he asked us was what makes a good question. To your point, and he asked in and again, I didn't get to stay for his full unpacking, but it's the consciousness from which the question is asked and the subject matter, right? It's the consciousness of like really wanting to know, really being open, being what I like to think the anti-teenager mind. Teenager mind is what you got to teach me, right? That kind of thing. Not that the people who have teenagers on this call are going to be like that. um, but to be the anti of that, to be what how Krishna tells us in the Bhagavad Gita, to come with this with the Buddhist open cup mind, and so it's the mindset and also the subject matter, right? Like, don't like, especially when we're in front of our seniors and our gurus, to really prize this time to not ask, like, I don't know, like about the IRS. I'm not going to walk up to my guru and say, I got this thing from the IRS today, Guru Day. What am I going to do? So it's the attitude and it's the consciousness and both the content of the question, he was saying, really makes it, that's what makes it perfect.
Thank you, Jamuna Jaya. Thank you very much. I once asked Adipusha Prabhu about IRS, and he told me, just kiss the envelope. This is not coming from IRS. It's coming from Krishna. So that's the kind of guidance and counseling I get. Okay. Are we ready for Sage and Sky, Annabelle and Isaiah? Are we ready for the chanters?
Almost. I just want to express my appreciation for Mr. Jamuna Jaya, because I really admire you so much, Jamuna Jaya, for, every time you do your class, you do it with such expertise that nobody believes you when you say that, oh, I'm so nervous and I have so much anxiety before doing my class. So yeah, hats off to you always, Jamuna. And on top of that, you do it all laughing and bring smiles. You pull smiles out of everybody when you do your class, which is, to do that with philosophy, that's not easy. So
You ever
thank you,
notice when she
Jamuna.
comes on, you immediately start smiling?
Yeah, that's what
Like
I'm
it's
saying. You
contagious.
don't,
She comes,
you
I
can't
don't
help
want to
yourself.
smile. I'm grumpy in the morning, and then there's Jamuna Jaya on my screen, and I'm like, I have to smile, otherwise I'll be left behind.
And she's doing it while she's reading the purports. Not even commenting on, just reading it. So that takes skill.
Oh, thank you, Gail. Thank you, Gail, so much. I admire you. Talk about questions. Gail gives the perfect questions.
Okay, time for Annabelle and Sky and Sage. Time for
Do you know ISKCON has this suicide hotline? I think Jamuna Jaya should be regularly answering phone calls.
yeah, you will change your mind immediately.
Yeah, as soon as she says hello, can I help you?
Ananda Bihari, how do you know about this?
I was going to say, how do you know about this? Yes, this was my question.
People will say, "Oh, I forgot why I was going to kill myself. I completely forgot."
Yeah. Okay, junior chanters, please chant
Junior
loudly.
chanters, get it. I like the dinosaur in there.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Thank you very much for today. Hare Krishna.
Bravo. Bravo, chanters.
Junior chanters ki jai, Jamuna Jaya, Devi Dasi ki jai. All the devotees on this call, ki jai. Thank you very much. Happy Friday. We love you and we need you every day. Hare Krishna.
You guys